Hi-oh, how's it going, eh? It's me, Comic Crack. It's been a little while. I'm still doing this setup. Stand by. Let's see if we go. That's at the mic is on 50% volume. Doesn't look like it's peaking as much now. Maybe that's a little better, right? When somebody joins, then I'll see how the audio is doing. I've got the good old Zoom microphone set up here. How's it going, people? It's been a little bit. I've been kind of jonesing. Oh, hello, Mr. Volstix. How's the volume? Yeah, good. Thank you. Sounding fine. Excellent. Um, it's been a little while, and I've been thinking of doing a video for the past little bit. I was waiting for something to come in the mail because I wanted to do kind of a half review, kind of talking about books briefly, and then just kind of I've um, tackled some more things off of this list here, which I'm excited about. Let me get this out of the way there. Let's get this out of the way. There we go. So it's not smacking me upside the head. Yeah, so I wanted to wait for the package to show up before I kind of did a video, and I don't know. I've just missed it. I miss doing videos. I do like doing these. They are a lot of fun. I just like talking to people in general about comics, especially online. It's good to just kind of completely put the job way to the back of my mind and focus on something else. Very important. It's very important, people. So there's a box sitting beside me here from Lone Star or My Comic Shop, right there, skadoosh. What I do, or what I have done, is I put a bunch of stuff into a cart. I was kind of browsing their site. This was a couple of months back. Browsing the site just to see what kind of stock they had, if there was some odd titles I was looking for, see if I could find them on there. And I just built up this cart over kind of a month period. When I thought of stuff, I would put stuff in there. I sold some more things on eBay. So I turned that money into let's just go for it, and trimmed down the list on My Comic Shop, and got myself a good stack of books. Pardon me. I'm mildly nervous because the box is a bit damaged, but I've done My Comic Shop orders in the past, and they tend to pack things really, really well. So I'm not overly concerned about it. We'll see when we break into it. But on the other side of it, I've been reading a bunch lately. I've been doing a bit of, I kind of got stuck into my ambush game for a little while there, and that took up most of my free time and my thinking power, thinking about it when I wasn't playing it. And, I really dug deep into that game. I only did 3 missions, I think, about to start on the 4th one. I had to pack it away for a little while just to kind of make room. But that was a lot of fun, kind of getting stuck into a game. Especially that style of game is, I don't know. I find it really interesting now that I'm more into it. It is a challenge for sure, but I do enjoy the challenge. But on the other side, I've been reading a bunch. I think I spoke about this last time. I did get the 3rd volume. There's a couple of books that I won't spend a ton of time talking about because you've heard me speak of it before. So I found the 3rd volume online. Wasn't really impressed with the seller. This is how it showed up. The book itself was cheap, so it's not the end of the world. But I was a little annoyed that it did show up in this condition, or if it was in this condition beforehand, there was no talk of it. Again, it was cheap enough. I probably would have bought it anyway, but that's beside the point. Volume 3 is great. I have to pick up the rest of them now from my shop downtown. Again, just kind of continues with what I've said before, this kind of mystical, magical element of him becoming the Dalai Lama, or his journey to become the next Dalai Lama. This one was really focused on kind of his suffering. That suffering is a part of life, and suffering is going to get you somewhere. So he ends up joining this kind of monastery, And been meaning to ask, have you read any of the Fantagraphics genre comics line with all those old Bronze Age artists and new alt cartoonists, the all-time comics line? I have read a few of them. I'm really far behind. Those are my kind of new comic book reading pile is quite sizable, actually, even though I don't pick them up anymore. And the all-time stuff, I think I've read 2 issues when they first came out. I read the first 2. I can't even remember the titles that they were. Brilliant. I really enjoyed it, as far as like it really, and I shouldn't say it about across the board because I don't know. The ones that I read were very, it was a lot of great eye candy. I thought they were a lot of fun. A really great idea. It's good to see some of these kind of newer alternative comic artists getting a shot at kind of the big leagues to some degree. Who is it? Michel Fife, I think is how you pronounce the name. Doing, what is it, Bloodstrike for Image. That's been promoted all across Twitter and stuff, or at least the Twitter that I follow anyway. It's great to see some of those artists getting a shot at stuff that's a little more mainstream, or at least a little more front and center with the general comics reading public. Makes me excited. And again, that's kind of the territory, as you well know, that's kind of the territory that I really thrive on. I love that kind of stuff. I love seeing these outsider kind of voices getting a little bit more into the mainstream to inject their weirdness into everybody else, so to speak. So another thing that I read, and I don't have it down here, I have the 3 volumes of the Spirit Color album. I can't remember my thread before that. It's not important. Just that the White Llama is fantastic. Suffering, joins a monastery, a bunch of other monks, and just kind of starts learning that side of things. Just great, really, really great. And the the Lama, the kid that is touted as the next Dalai Lama, his name is I think they call him Little Jesus, and he's kind of this drooling, dribbling kind of mess, who's slightly handicapped, to say the least, and just kind of parrots what a lot of other people say, and that's supposed to be the wisdom, so there's some good kind of digs at Christianity and religion in general, even though I know that Jodorowsky is a very spiritual individual. I don't think he follows any one specific strain of religious thought or anything. Great book. Pick it up. Do yourselves a favor. Give it a shot. I know that it's in a collected edition. I'm just all about these single editions right now, so I'm okay picking them up for this volume. I finished the first volume of the Spirit Archives as well, the color album, and sounds like the kid from The Preacher. I haven't actually, I'm going to say it, I haven't actually read The Preacher. I'll pause while all you yell at your computer. What? You haven't read The Preacher? I haven't read The Preacher. I should rectify that at some point. It's not like the graphic novels are really, really expensive. They're all over the place. The Spirit stuff was interesting, enjoyable for the most part. There is a couple of things that are kind of, it's a fun book for sure. There was a couple of things where there was a couple of stories where I couldn't really grasp where the short story was even going, and maybe I'm just thinking about it. That was, I'll say that was at the beginning of my reading of it, so maybe I was just coming into it with a little too much. And as I kind of got further into the first volume, that kind of, those ideas relaxed, and I just kind of sat and enjoyed it. And by the end, I was loving it. The color reproduction in those kitchen sink editions is really great. There's something oversaturated about the color. Yeah, it's all Eisner. And that said, I need to double check because I know that there was a time, I was just reading about it the other day, because somebody's name that popped up in one of the comics I was reading, I think it was in an Unexpected, he was doing the Spirit as well, and now I'm blanking on the name. When we get to there, I'll maybe it'll trigger in my memory. I know that Eisner, there was a chunk of time there where he wasn't actually writing or drawing anything. Now, I believe that all these color editions are all Eisner stuff. I don't remember the years off the top of my head, and they're not down here within reach. And then I'm still going through the 2001 Nights. I think I'm about 6 issues into that, 10. Yeah, it's the kitchen sink ones. Yeah. Uh, there's 10 issues and I'm 6 issues into it. And again, I don't want to talk too much about it that I've already said it before. If you see it, please do yourselves a favor and pick it up. It's still really good. Even 6 issues in. Yes, there's a couple of stories here and there that maybe aren't as good as some others. But when that book hits it, man, it nails it. The stories are amazing and the art is incredible. That's a good question. I don't know. The question was, are you talking about the artists who ghosted the spirit, or were they openly credited? In the stuff that I was reading online, they were openly credited in that. Now, when it was all coming out, I, I'm pretty sure it was all still Eisner's name on everything. I haven't dug that deep into that history of it. Um, yeah, I've got a few of the magazines as well too. The books, the hardcover books collect stuff even earlier than those magazines. I should have brought them down. I'll do once I finish the 3 volumes. I'll definitely do kind of a little bit more of a look at them. I mean, we can flip through them because they're great editions. This hardcover format is really working for me. Pardon me, excuse me. So anyway, into some of the things I've been reading. Getting into some more of the Renegade Press, the odds and ends that I'm picking up from it. This is Gene Day's Black Zeppelin, issue number 1, and I guess that in the 70s, what does it say? 1978, back around 1978, that Gene first got the idea for Black Zeppelin. He'd always been intrigued with the idea of publishing his own comics magazine and had previously experimented in that direction by publishing a couple of small press, low circulation titles. So he kind of wrote a bunch of stories to do a little bit of an anthology. It never happened. And then he passed away in, what does it say, September of 1982. Gene was gone, and with him, it seemed the creative spark that would have given Black Zeppelin life. It sat on the shelf gathering dust, and then other people started getting their hands on things and doing the art for these Gene Day stories, and then Renegade got their hands on the title and managed to put it out. An interesting little anthology, uh, the first strip about a comics artist and his trials and tribulations, um, talking directly to us. Charles Vess does the art in this one called Priest. This one was pretty good, kind of interesting art. Overall, it was a pretty enjoyable read. I think my favorite story was probably that Priest, just because it had this kind of darker tone to it. There's what, one, two, three. It looks like there was 4 stories. The last one had some all right art as well too. Very indie looking art for sure. And again, a lot of the stuff of that time period. Um, so who do we got? Story and art Gene Day with inks by David Day. And then in the second story, as I said, art and story by Charles Vess. Winged Jupiter story Gene Day, art Dan Day. And then finally, art and story by David Sim, or Dave Sim, rather, for this last one. So, I think it'll be worth reading it for sure. Picking up the other titles. I don't know how many Renegade actually put out of this. This is the only one that I've picked up anyway. I don't think I've seen too many of these around. So that was kind of an enjoyable read. It's fun kind of digging into some of these small press titles. It just makes me think of the time, the oversaturation of the small press stuff, or what became possibly an oversaturation, which is why the cheap bins are just filled with that stuff, which is great for a guy like me digging through and finding these weird little titles. But I could see I could see that there would be a bit of kind of burnout from people. Uh, and I guess that's the way with everything, right? I mean, you're gonna have superhero kind of burnout after a while too. I think people experience it in different ways. Some less than others, some more than others. Another, I think this is this Renegade as well too. Yeah, Renegade Press as well. Stories by Mike Baron and Arn Saba. This is Love Fantasy issue number 1, and again, an anthology title. This one kind of centered around romance type of stories. And I think actually with this one, except for the first story, I believe they're artists. Yeah, the second story, The Perfect Guy. She does advertising, and in the third story, I believe it's a comic artist. Sorry, I'm gonna try to stop saying the whole time. Yes, Royal Con interlude. So this one was, I think, my favorite out of the three. This just focuses on a couple and they create a superhero book, and it sort of bridges the gap, creating the actual superheroine and starting to go to the comic cons, and then a woman presents herself that's this superheroine manifest in the flesh, and he has a bit of a fling with her. Oh yeah, Mike Baron Arnsab got the Neil the Horse collection from Conundrum a few months back. It's such a great. I've got it as well. It is such a great. I had never. I'd heard of Neil the Horse before. I'd never read any of it. When I started reading Neil the Horse, I 150% got into it. It is such a great collection. They are such great stories. I really, really, really liked it. I was surprised at how much I liked it. Um, so has a bit of a fling with the superheroine manifest in real life, and then it kind of leads him back to his partner, his wife. So there was a little bit of a mix of, maybe they were doing a little bit of, it was a little bit of fantasy role playing maybe. But it was just a nice story, like this stuff isn't going to be life changing when you're reading these stories, but I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so that's Love Fantasy number 1. And again, I'm not sure how many issues this ran for either, or if it was just a one-off. I don't really know the timeline on these stories as far as the evolution of the company, what kind of point it was at. Maybe it was on the downward slope. Who knows? And then I'm not going to open up too many of these, but I did actually. Let's talk about this one first. Let's go here first, since it's another anthology title, and I believe it's also from Renegade as well. Why, yes, it is. I did a little bit of Renegade Press reading. So this one is Rob Snyder's Revolver, this month sci-fi adventure Star Guider. And it's Revolver issue number 1, and it is another anthology, and it is Steve Ditko art, and it is the usual. When I see Steve Ditko sci-fi, it just automatically reminds me of Shade the Changing Man, and this really does. But again, just seeing his art in this black and white format is a beautiful thing. Really, really great. Great little story. I know that there was a couple of issues of this series. I think I have one more. But I mean, look at those. Look at those pages. It's really just worth it for his black and white work. And that's one thing I will say about the kind of black and white boom of that time. You really get to experience the art in a completely different way. It really does become about the inkers and the pencilers. You know what I mean? It really becomes about the art. And then we get a couple of other stories. Marshal of the Zodiac by Mitch. Sorry, I forgot my glasses. Mitch Margopoulos and Tom Mandrake. Letters by Joe Kubert. School. So doing a deal with the school of Joe Kubert here. I do have my glasses here. Let me just grab them so I have them for future fumbling around. Yeah, so this was a fun one. The sci-fi anthologies really do it for me a lot more than anything else, because of all the fantastic spaceships and astronaut suits and blackness of outer space. and weird creatures and aliens. And a little short, The Planet Zog, Harry Boltonov, and then Star Lad, which is again some fantastic art. No name on the front there. Let's see if we go through. Yeah, I mean, look at these pages. So great. Yeah, I think this camera was a really good purchase. It looks like it's coming across nice and crisp. Check that out. Like, that's just great stuff. Really great. Yeah, lots of fun. Just fun reading. It's not mind bending. And then how can you go wrong with a full page Ms. Tree? It's not something that's bringing you to the end of your limits as far as subtext and all this kind of stuff. It's just balls out fun, and there's some more Ditko to end it off. Yeah, so that's that one. If you see that, give it a shot. And I don't know who did this back page, but it really looks like Coleman. That picture there on the inside back cover, really, really nice. Yeah, so just filled with exploring this era is just fun, seeing all the ads and everything that comes along with it. Just, you know, stuff that kind of captures that zeitgeist, captures that moment in time is just really enjoyable for me. Looks like it's just you and me. There's one viewer. And then I made my way through the Micra miniseries. And what I did read is apparently it originally was supposed to be a 12-issue series. It only went to 7. And you do notice it. By the end, it really does kind of end abruptly. I kind of enjoyed it, though. It was a pretty good read overall. I'll go through maybe just the final issue and we'll just look at some of the art. There was only a couple of things story-wise that I thought they could have explored a little more. So the main character becomes paralyzed from the neck down through kind of a terrorist act. There's people that live inside the bubble, and there's people that live outside the bubble on planet Earth in this time. And of course, everything outside of the bubble is poisonous and is going to kill you, and everything inside the bubble is very pristine and beautiful. So a lot of, yes, that's right. Yeah, the Comics Interview, exactly. And I didn't realize that Comics Interview did a couple of series as well too. I thought it was just that one Comics Interview, but no, there's some other things, even something called Southern Nights as well too. So I might end up checking that out because I think I've seen those. Yeah, I think I have one or two of them as well too. I don't know if I've ever read them, but I'm pretty sure I do have one or two of them. So you get kind of the basics of obviously it's more people. It's more of the rich elite that are inside the bubble, living life to the fullest, and it's a lot of the poor and huddled masses outside of the bubbles. Throughout the series, we find some stuff out about some of our main characters. I don't want to give away too much, but one area I thought that they could have explored more was, so of course, it's a government kind of military project. They have this Micra, the mind-controlled remote automaton that now our main character, whose name is escaping me, gets to control. She kind of gets put into a trance, and she has a helmet on and electrodes put to her, and of course then she controls this character. Hey, John Jello, how the heck are you? It's been a long time. So when she finds out that Micra has some things that she can't control, one of them being when Micra is under attack, she defends herself automatically, and it's not a conscious thought. It's just this automatic system that whips out these guns and annihilates people. Yes, it is good to see me live. It's true. Uh, so that area I thought would have been interesting, especially, and I mean, again, with some of these, it's hard to take out. It's hard to take out the modern day story. This is rich territory for, exploring the mind of people involved in drone strikes, and they don't really touch on it at all. Because even at the time, I think it would have been something that would have been nice to explore a little bit. She kind of has this moment where, oh my God, because she can see out of the micro's eyes and everything, it's basically like it's her, right? So she can see that she's killed these people, and it's in pretty horrific ways, like setting them on fire, that sort of thing. And she gets over it really, really fucking quick. Like, she does it and she's all horrified for a couple of panels, and then she's okay. I could understand that if the main character was kind of was had a military background, but this main character does not. This main character really does have this kind of elite, um, uh, the world is my oyster kind of background, so even more so. And this is the kind of territory that always gets in for me, where maybe I'm just overthinking the book a little too much, way too much. Expectations be damned. This is a story that they're going to present, and just let them present it, which I did get into. I did get over it and actually enjoyed the book quite a bit. And it actually does lead up to quite a climax where a lot of things are happening. A lot of stuff starts to unfold, and you see some more layers with some of the characters, so the development was there. I would say this 7 issues is maybe a little long to get that development. Um, it probably could have been 4 or 5. And I'm thinking that may have been one of the things that kind of marked its end, but I don't really know. I haven't done any research on it. I wasn't reading this at the time, so I don't know, as far as maybe the market itself, maybe the indie boom had kind of collapsed. But there's some great story in here, and there's some really, really surprisingly good bits. One of the main leader of the resistance, um, turns out, of course, to be related to her, through something that she didn't know, and et cetera, et cetera. So then you have that kind of tension between these estranged sisters. The sister that's leading the resistance, um, is leading the resistance because she's seen her family get killed, or she thinks that she's seen her family get killed when she was young. So that's kind of the driving force in her wanting to break into the bubble and wanting to let all these poor people live in these bubbles so they could kind of lead a better life. And then turns out, one of her driving forces is still alive and is now working for the military against her and her people. So there's some rich territory in there. Again, if I think I can do better, why don't I write the damn thing, right? That's kind of the classic. So I try not to get too carried away with that kind of stuff. But give it a shot if you see it. It's worth it. I just think that maybe something like that would be neat to see reimagined now. And like I said, I think there's a lot of story in drone attacks. I think there's a lot of territory there to explore how people feel and seeing death on a screen, but knowing you're ultimately in control and that sort of thing would have been nice. Um, I only read this one. I do have a small handful of Spectre, the old Spectre, uh, but I haven't dug into them too hard just because there's so many other things that I want to read. But I couldn't resist this one. The cover is phenomenal, and it's exactly as I would expect. Just kind of shorter stories. The Spectre getting some revenge, and dealing out justice in only the way the Spectre can. And the main draw for me is the art. I do have an attachment to the Spectre series from when I was a kid, for sure. These stories are great. They don't blow my mind, but the art itself blows my mind, especially when it's covers like this. Micro sounds interesting. I've seen the comic but never read it. I may have an issue somewhere. Never read Spectre. That's a cool cover. It's a super cool Spectre cover. And Micro, yeah, I mean, it's with some of these smaller press stuff from that time period, you do end up seeing them around quite a bit. So I'm sure if you dug, you can find them for dirt cheap. And it's always, I don't know. I find that stuff really interesting to explore. 50 cent, $1 books, even if it's $1.50. I'm always willing. One of the new comics that I do try to pick up semi regularly, that I'm still really enjoying, is Alters, from Aftershock. And the latest that I have is issue 8. I think it's probably on, I'm assuming it's probably on like issue 10 right now. I think I'm a couple of issues behind. I read this quite a few weeks ago now. And I don't know, I like talking about it very briefly, just because I think it deserves some attention. I think it's a great story. They are kind of tackling some interesting topics. It's They're tackling it on a very base level. I think. I mean, they're going into a little bit of depth, but I don't think they're exploiting anything to tell this story. My take on it, in any way, is that they're not exploiting to tell this superhero story, um, of basically people transitioning. They're transitioning from regular human beings, quote unquote, to these superpowered beings, right? And then our main character is a man transitioning to becoming a woman, and her superhero is a female. It's great. I just think it's a great story. I just like the way it's unfolding. The art itself is nothing to write home about. It doesn't blow my mind or anything, but it pushes the story forward enough. So I just like mentioning that one, because it's pretty damn good. And then I've started getting into some of the unexpected, and I've been really, really pleasantly surprised. They've been a hell of a lot of fun. This one in particular, possibly. Yeah, this was. Yeah, I mean, it's a good book. You know, the art, like I said, the art isn't horrible. It's just not really my style of stuff. And yes, unexpected. Um, it's so much fun. Seriously, it is so much fun. And the more that I read this stuff, the more I can see the huge appeal with these horror books, and especially these anthology horror books. And I don't know if they're all like this one, but I've said it before in a video. This unexpected title really, to me, it really bridges that gap of the underground stuff, kind of smashing headlong with mainstream. I mean, look at this. Look at this page. Look at this opening page. This was a pretty fantastic story. Uh, and again, it's not like there's crazy Twilight Zone type of surprise endings. You can pretty much see them come, but the it's the journey that's so great. I'm sure I'm gonna have a huge list of unexpected artists that I love once I get more into the series. I've only read I think I've read 4 or 5 at this point, because when I was buying these and just flipping through them, there's some of the art that is just fucking mind blowing. I mean, even this, I love lettering in comics, and I love a panel like this where the panel really interacts with the sound effects. What else? Yeah, there you go. Look at this. That's great. So I mean, this one it's a bet to stay in a haunted house for a night, and if they survive, they'll get whatever it is, $10,000. I think, I can't remember the actual money. So here we go. So art by Jerry Grandinetti, and I believe it was this Jerry Grandinetti that did some work on the Spirit when Eisner was not doing the Spirit. From what I was reading about this guy, because his art stood out in this one issue. Um, his art stood out to me the most. I really like. It's got a very European style look to the faces, and even the story itself reminded me of kind of a European crime noir type of story. This was a real highlight for me in this one issue. I'm not sure if he did Unexpected, but one of my favorite DC horror guys is Gary Talloch. Spelling may be off. Yeah, the name looks familiar. Grandinetti is good. Yeah, he did some Spirit. Okay, yeah. So I was saying at the beginning before you showed up there that when I was doing some research on him, that's what it had said. And the question was he credited back then, or was he kind of like a ghost artist? And I don't know if he was credited in the book. Like, look at the colors on this panel here. That yellow is just nice, kind of mustard colors there. Really great. So I'm absolutely going to love these books even more than I originally thought I would. Like I was saying, whenever I find some of them, I always end up flipping through them, just kind of soaking in the art. But just sitting here late at night and just kind of reading one issue, I kind of read one issue a night, or I'm trying to read one issue a night. It's a really nice way to kind of end off the evening before going to bed, just sitting and having an easy, casual read. And not all stories. So here is a story by George Cashton and art by George Tuska for the first story, which I think was my least favorite. Yes, Grandinetti did a lot of great war. Yes, he did. That's another thing that I saw when I was reading up on him. Grandinetti's war comic covers are atmospheric, intense. Do an image search when you have a chance. Yeah, beat me to it. Yes, he did. Wine 49er. Nice to see you. I don't know if we've met. Thank you for joining us. There you go. So Unexpected, hell of a good book. I've got a huge stack of these suckers now, so I will be digging into those. And once I kind of get a chunk under my belt, for sure, I'll do some videos where we kind of spotlight some of the artists. You've been subbed for a few years. Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I think that was about it. The other thing that I'm sort of reading, Terror in Winnipeg, which is, hey, that's where I'm from. It's kind of a kid's book, kind of a kid's detective type of story, almost like a Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew type of thing. Super, super thin. I got it because it's Terror in Winnipeg, and they even have on the inside cover, they even got a little map of the Assiniboine River and the Red River that runs through our glorious city. So that's pretty great. Yeah, terrorists. You can't beat it. So that was a nice find. I've had that for many, many years. I just haven't actually read the damn thing. And I don't know if I will finish it. It really was geared towards kids. I think that's about all that's kind of within reach of things that I've read. Yeah, House of Secrets, Maestro. I've got piles of stuff here, sort of sorting through things. Those ones I talked about before. Yes, that is it. So, what do we got here? I only own the Showcase Presents reprints of those DC horror titles. Great stuff, even in black and white, and I agree, good before bedtime reading. Are you going after other DC horror titles? I'm not going after them hardcore, but I do have a few of the House of Secrets, and I've been picking up the ones that I've really loved the cover. I haven't read these yet. This is possibly one of my all-time favorite colors. Again, there's something about that kind of yellowish brown, orange, fantastic color. It's a really great cover. And then this one as well too. I've shown these off in a video before, but while we're talking about it, and since they're right in reach, and how can you go wrong with that cover? Devil taking the hand of a small child. It's great. Great stuff. But other than that, no. I'm not, I'm honestly not a huge, it's not like I dislike them. I just, the horror stuff it's a bit of a rabbit hole, right? Yeah, that ice cream skull cover is possibly one of the best ones. I'll show it again since there was some comment. There you go. Really, really great. Just disgustingly good. There's a lot of these horror books, and while I can appreciate the covers, it's not a rabbit hole that I want to go down at this point. Not to say that I'll never go down that rabbit hole, but not right now. Alcala is great too. Yeah, that's another name I recognize. Russ Heath is my favorite when it comes to war books, and then classic cover for the ice cream. So why don't we get into this? So that's pretty much it. That's kind of a good chunk of what I've been reading, and it's just all been a lot of fun. It's sometimes, again, sometimes I find it, and it happens, I think, when you do a YouTube channel or something. Sometimes there's this tendency. I have found recently, because I want to talk about books, I love talking about the books as well. There is times when I find I read it without reading it, and I have to kind of stop myself and just read the book for reading the book, not read the book to talk about it and what am I specifically going to talk about. Just read the damn book, just read it. So it's been great that I've had this material that just allows me to just absorb it. That is a classic cover. Most of them are cheap. Yeah, and all the horror stuff that I've been finding has been relatively cheap. So now for the last half, I think it's been a little while. I don't know how long I've been going here, but probably a hell of a long time. Russ Heath was amazing. Russ Heath's technology and smoke and stuff in black and white looks a lot like Michael Golden's artwork. Russ Heath was amazing. Let's clear out all this stuff here, and let's hope everything came in one piece. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Oh wow. Dude. Amazing. Okay, so doing the usual. Is this a seal? Oh no, there's the opening there. So as I was saying, I put a bunch of stuff on a list in a shopping cart at mycomicshop.com, and then had a look through it and decided what I was going to take and what I wasn't. And this is kind of what I've decided, and it's going to be some stuff that's come off a list. I've got to take this one out because I can't actually believe this. It's way cooler than I thought it was going to be. A little banged up, but again, a lot of these were cheap. So this is from Archival Photography. Basil Wolverton's Space Funnies. In this issue, 3 Space Hawk stories, and it's almost Golden Age size. So there's the comparison right there. So a fair bit bigger. Get that arrow out of my face there. A little bit bigger. Very cool. I don't know this company. Oh, look at this. Forget about it. Look, I love Basil Wolverton. I can't get enough of Wolverton. Look at those reproductions, man. Great. Holy crap. That's way better than I thought it was going to be. I just assumed that this was going to be something like the Eclipse or Pacific, where it would just be kind of the basic recreation. It almost looks like it's photographs of the book not properly lit and then transferred to another book. That's incredible. That's incredible. And all the pages are glossy. Every single page is glossy. I know nothing about this company. All I know is I saw Wolverton and I couldn't resist it. Look at this. Forget about it. Look at this shit. He's just one of those artists that every time I see his stuff, it blows my mind every single time. And it's almost like I'm looking at it for the first time again. I absolutely adore his artwork. I really just can't get enough. Yeah, see, I was all worried about them packaging stuff, and there's nothing to worry about. They do a damn good job. So as I was saying, I've crossed a few things with this package of stuff. It's allowing me to cross a bunch of stuff off of my list for 2018. The problem not preparing beforehand. Sorry, everybody. And one that I'm really excited to be crossing off the list is this, if I remember correctly. Yes, here we go. Oh, baby. Here we go. Eclipse magazine, the last issues that I needed for this. I do, yes, I do know exactly what you mean. I do have that book, the Wolverton book that Glenn Bray put out. Yes, and it did have some gibberish kind of title. I did find a copy of it a little while back, and it's incredible. It's like mini comic format, and it's really, really beautiful. Too bad I can't afford his original books. I'm like you, Comic Crack. I can only afford the reprints. Yeah, every once in a while I do a browse on eBay just to see what kind of prices some of that original Wolverton stuff goes for. And I have seen a couple that have kind of entered territory that is a little more reasonable than others, but I still haven't pulled the trigger on it. It would be something really great to have, though, as far as an artist that I just really get a kick out of. It would be great to kind of own some of that original stuff. So, as I was saying, this will finish off the Eclipse magazine series for me, which has Ms. Tree in it, also has Coyote, the Coyote story in it, and a couple of other things. So that's issue number 1. I'm going to try to make a pile here. And then issue number 7. Those are the only 2. So that's one thing off the list. I think I had Eclipse magazine on there. Yes, I did. Beautiful. So that's those. And then also from Eclipse, something called Aces. Jose Ortiz, Attilio Mizzulucci, Philly Birthday. I know I'm butchering all of these names, but it's a magazine-sized Aces from Eclipse, and I believe it was the only issue that they put out. I think it's all European reprint stuff. Sorry, Wine 49er. Do you have any of his underground stuff? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Basil Wolverton? Because yes, I absolutely do. Need Eclipse, congrats completing the correction. John Bolton, cover number 7, quite possibly. Yes, there's the signature down there. Good spot. You might not be able to see it, but there's the signature there. Yeah, Wolverton. I'll show those someday. I do have some of the underground stuff, including this kind of mini comic that he did. And that last Eclipse magazine was the Emerson, Hunt Emerson. Oh, it doesn't say. It does say Trina Robbins. I'll open it in one sec, and we can have a look together. I just want to see what we're looking at in here. Yeah, and I believe this was all European reprints in this Aces. Let's see if it gives us a little bit of Raymond Chandler quote. Yeah, I believe so. It doesn't really give a introduction to the magazine itself. Oh, was there more issues? Okay, more issues of Aces, if I'm not mistaken. I bought that for the Dieter Lumpkin stories. Yeah, I mean, it looks great. Anything Eclipse I need to have in the collection anyway. And Dr. Monkeybot, if you're watching, here's another title to be on the lookout for. Was it Eclipse or Pacific that you were looking out for? I know that you're not here now, but if you do watch in the future. Bolton, another great artist. Let's catch up here. John Ortiz did some amazing work for 2000 AD and other Fleetway comics. Bolton's another great artist. Miracle Man from Eclipse. Yeah, I mean, I've shown them in the past. It's a great series, and I kind of had another issue. That one's not going in. I'm not going to fight it here on camera. And then, did you see that short fictional film about John Bolton? No, I did not. I didn't know anything like that existed, starring the Brit comedian Marcus Bridgestock. And then finally, for the magazines, I saw this somewhere. I can't remember where I saw a photo of it. Comics Journal. You know that I love it. This one has a Timothy Truman interview in it, and then it looks like they also talk about Mobius, Blueberry. So I do want to read the Tim Truman stuff. I have a book coming with Jack Jackson, talking with Jack Jackson. I don't know if it's interview with him or not. There's, I think, 3 or 4 artists, and Jackson is one of them that they talk to and talk with. But this is in the same vein for me, just a couple of artists, creators that I would love to, I love hearing more about. And Truman is the man. So that was a great pickup. Let's crack into this Eclipse. See, there you go. More Winnipeg. Styx Comics there, ladies and gentlemen. Styx Comics. Your question was about Emerson. Hunt Emerson. Yes, you are absolutely right. It's The Underground Lighthouse by Hunt Emerson. How to Hide Your Lighthouse from Nazi Rabbits. So page 37. So here we go. There you go there. Yeah, and there's some more. Comics Journal were always fun to find, cheap, and read the articles and stuff. Jack Jackson should be a great issue. Love Jackson's stuff. Yeah, yeah, I agree. The journal is great. It can be a little difficult at times to read, and I haven't read every single issue that I do have. It's one of those that I think I mentioned before. I kind of come back and forth to. I'll find out about artists, and I'll find out that they were in a journal, and for the most part, I have it. So then I'll get to read the interview, which is great. Especially, I find once you're right in my style of reading with this stuff, I really kind of dive into a specific creator, and I really just read a chunk of their stuff at once, or I usually try to. It doesn't always happen like that, but for the most part, I try to just absorb the artist, it's himself or herself. So it's nice to have, when you're in those moments, discovering a Comics Journal interview where sometimes they even talk about exactly the books that you're reading. It's really great just to get that extra little bit of context. And then, of course, good old Trina Robbins with Sax Rohmer's Dope. I've seen a hardcover collection of this as well too at the local bookstore. I just haven't picked it up because I seem to have most of it in various magazines and things. Love the Comics Journal. Truman had an interview on the Comics Journal website a few days ago about Scout. It's still out. Awesome. I'll have to check that out. Jackson. Thanks, Terrence. Lovely. I met Hunt at Thought Bubble 2014, and he signed and sketched 3 of his books. It was incredible watching him work. That's amazing. That's one of the things that I wish we could experience here in Winnipeg. We don't get a lot of artists that I'm particularly crazy about. We do get a couple of artists, but somebody, and again, if I would have had a chance to meet Darwin Cook, that would have been great to get a sketch done by him and watch him work. Just watching these guys, some of these guys work is just a beautiful thing. It's really, really great to see. Okay. So here we go. Skadoosh. We'll fly through these a little bit. Not too fast, obviously, but stop me if you want to see something. I do appreciate you guys hanging out for this long. It was unexpected. Yeah, I don't know Hunt Emerson's work either. Even looking at it, I can't say that I've come across it before myself, but it does. That's the beauty. Again, it's the beauty of some of these anthologies, right? You you just get to discover. Let's find the halfway point here. Okay, start off with this one. I love the record label Skin Graft. Yeah, it's a brick, all right. And I had found, I think they did only a couple of issues of a comic. So Skin Graft puts out some great music, including bands like U.S. Maple, Mount Shasta, Shakuhachi Surprise. I think they did some Ruins stuff as well too. But I think it's Mark Fisher is one of the names. And they also, with a lot of the records, they usually come with, especially the 7-inches, they usually come with a little comic book. They did a great series of AC/DC cover songs by some of these Skin Graft type bands. Sort of no wave noise rock-ish, I guess, if you wanted to put a really, really broad label on them. Some incredible musicians, incredible stuff. But years ago, I found one issue of Skin Graft in, again, like a 50-cent bin. And I've looked out, I've had my eye out for this one for a long time and haven't ever found it. And of course, my comic shop had it. So there you go. A little bit of comics from crazy rock and rollers. Another series that I think it was only 6 issues or 7 issues. Apple Comics is a company that I have a few things of, the Vietnam Journals being the other one. And I've had these few issues of this book called Vox for quite a while, and I haven't read them. I've flipped through them a couple of times, and they do look really good. So I wanted to finish off this now that I'm kind of doing these mini series. I figured this is a good one to tackle because it is only 6 or 8, I think. So that'll be a good sci-fi. Yeah, for sure, we can have a look at that. Absolutely. And I mean, I think that's the greatest thing about having everything accessible online, right? It's great, but it's also a fucking nightmare because you do end up losing the power of your battery. 34%. It says I've got a half an hour left before the battery craps out on me. But it's great when you want to find these kind of oddball titles. There is somewhere that you're going to be able to find this stuff, right? Which is fantastic. Oh, so great. Yeah, so this is story and art by Mark Fisher. I think it's Mark Fisher. It says 1990 to 1992. So here's kind of a look at what his art is like. And again, I think this is an anthology. And a lot of these characters do appear on even the album artwork for bands like Mount Shasta. Gumball Head the Cat is one of those characters who I don't see on the front cover here. Actually, we'll see if there's a Gumball Head the Cat comic in here. But it's pretty dense stuff. Let's see what else we got in here. Paul Nietzsche from 1992. There you go. Some more there. I believe there was only 2 issues of this that came out, but I didn't. Skin Graft presents The Ass Bandit. There you go. And that art is by, it doesn't say there. Oh, it says there, but there's no way in hell I'm reading that. I can't even read it. And then of course, I guess they had some Skin Graft mini comics as well too, according to that art, according to this little flyer in here. and then some letters and all sorts of stuff. So that'll be a fun one to read. Pardon me. And then here's the final. Looks like the final story. And again, I'm not seeing artist's name on that. There we go. Skin graft, indeed. Okay, and then Vox. So we're over here. Some P. Craig Russell. Ariane and Bluebeard by P. Craig Russell. More of his opera stuff in this kind of square bound format. Yeah, no problem. Anytime. If there's stuff you want to see, like I said, just let me know as we're going through this, and I can definitely show you some stuff. So that, I think that finishes off that mini series for me. And again, I know that this stuff has been collected, but when I find it, oh, look at these colors, ridiculous. When I find it, I do like collecting it in kind of its original format, you know, sitting through the individual issues and seeing the stuff that was in the individual issues that might not make it to the collection, especially when there's things like letters pages. Yeah, I really like his art. Yeah, his art on Elric is great. I do have a bunch of Elric. Fantasy is really difficult for me to get into. Yes, the colors are incredible for sure. Fantasy is really difficult for me to get into. It I have to really be in a pretty specific mindset. The Elric stuff has been enjoyable. The little bit that I've read, again, I don't have all of it, and because they seem to be these individual kind of story arcs, I really do want to make sure that I have everything before I dig into it. Yeah, no, the color palette is amazing. The colors really, really great, and I mean, there's just something about the printing quality, and it's just beautiful stuff. And there you go, inside front cover. This one sounds like it hasn't even been opened. Like this has that little creak. And then Theon from Pyramid Comics, another one that I have a single issue of, and the art just really captured my attention. So what the hell? I should probably get the whole miniseries because I clearly need to have this book. So there you go. And I think there's another one or two in this pile. It's not in any sort of order. Three-dimensional destroy, more Eclipse goodness. I don't know if it comes with glasses or not, but there you go. I've talked at length. You have those issues of Theon. How did I guess that you, out of anybody, would have them? That's incredible. I love it. I love it. That's so great. I love that I'm talking to my crowd here. It's so fucking awesome. I am so happy that you said that. You don't even know. Bob Powell's Timeless Tales, more Eclipse. That's amazing. I love it. And I think this finishes it off, this series for me as well, too. Speaking of Timothy Truman, the last few issues of Scout that I needed that have just been eluding me. I know that there was one issue. He's got a guitar on the front. I know that there was one issue of Scout that also came with a record. Now, I don't remember reading on the site when I ordered it. No, it doesn't look like this has anything in it. But seriously, man, Truman he kills me. It's so great. I'm so looking forward to getting back into this series. I read a whole bunch and then had some gaps. So I read up to the gaps and just fucking loved it. And I haven't even started War Shaman as well either. So I'm really looking forward to getting back into this a lot. Such a good book. You never read Scout? I highly recommend it. Yeah, really, really great stuff. Look at this shit. Awesome. Great stuff. Anyway, So I think there's another couple of issues of that in this pile. There's something to be said for reading up to the gaps. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's, you know, it also allows you to kind of put yourself in that time frame again, like going month to month. So you're reading, and then there's a big break, and you have to kind of get back into it. The final issue that I needed in this mini series, I think it was a 4 issue, or was it only 3? Winter World, a comic that's been on my list forever and a day, but next to impossible to find out. Yeah, Grimjack is great as well. I completely agree. I have a collection of Grimjack, and it's a hell of a read as well. So this is the final one I needed for this. I know that they did a modern. I think it was IDW did Winter World again, and I think it was newer stories set in the kind of same world, but that's the original series, the OG. And there you go. There's another issue of Vox. Look at that cover, fantastic. Yeah, I haven't read his Jonah Hex stuff. Yeah, I mean, just because yeah, start on whichever one you like. I'm not even gonna suggest. I really, really like Grimjack. I really, really like Scout. Grimjack was great as well, but I'm very partial to Scout. So this is the interior of Vox, just to give you a sense of this book. Oh, look at this wrapped around cover. So great. Focus. Thank you. Killer, killer cover, killer fucking cover. Yeah, I actually didn't know that he did any Jonah Hex, so that's good to know. Look at that stuff. It's great. I'm looking forward to digging into this series as well. It's going to be a fun read. I will tell you right away here. So the writer is Angela Harris. Illustrator is Aaron McClellan. Letterer is Clem Robbins, and editor Hillary Hughes. There you go, right there. You can see that. I don't know how the light is. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Again, the things you find in the cheap bins that then lead you on a mission to having to find them all. More gap fillers. Finished off the couple of issues of Ms. Tree that I got here. Finish off that series for me as well. So another one I'm looking forward to getting stuck back into and finishing off this. You know, you've seen me talk about Ms. Tree a whole bunch, and it's all true. There you go. And another one, this is as I said, this is the haul of finishing things off, crossing things off the list. These couple of issues will finish off my Plop series for me. So there's one of them there. Thanks, Terrence Vox. Looks cool. Interiors and covers totally does. Yes, Miss Tree. I enjoy Miss Tree. Never saw that issue. Based Terry Beatty. Those buggers are hard to find. Nice. Never read Plop. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's kind of, yeah, exactly. Sort of like Mad. Sort of comic. Sort of comedy. Sort of horror. That sort of thing. Yes, absolutely. Another Ms. Tree, looks like issue number 48, with some Johnny Dynamite in there as well too. Yeah, Sergio Aragones. Yes, also had some Wolverton work, some Wolverton covers on the early ones. Ms. Tree 47. And speaking of the Journal, apparently the Journal hated Ms. Tree. They trashed it and caused a little bit of a back and forth between the creators. Air Maidens special from Eclipse. I believe it's just a one shot. A Don Martin cover on Plop. I don't think so. No, not Don Martin. Who it is though, I couldn't tell you. I'm not seeing a signature there. There it is again. Yeah, they hated Ms. Tree because I think at the time they were talking about how it's just this kind of mystery stuff that you can see on TV, and why would you waste your time making a comic book about some half-assed detective when you can see that kind of boring shit on TV and blah blah blah, and really blasted his art, hated the covers. A lot of people at the time apparently hated his art and his covers, and I mean, you're totally entitled to your taste. I'm not telling you what to like and what you don't like, but that's the part of the Comics Journal that I don't know. And it's not. Let's just backtrack. It's not purely their fault. They wrote some bad reviews, um, and then Beattie and Collins responded and kind of laid into them, which then of course had the Journal kind of lay back into them, and it was just a bit of a back and forth and just a lot of bullshit. So I hear you. You know, it's one of those things like that's totally fine. You don't have to like it. You can trash it, do whatever you want. Possibly they shouldn't have responded. They did. It created a bunch of bullshit. Plop number 11 with some. This one is Wolverton. It's signed. I know that there was a couple of Plop where the covers looked like Wolverton, but it was Wall. Gary Groth thought he was European. Yeah, no, it's hilarious. The Comics Journal hates most everything, even their own comics. And the Comics Journal hated a lot of American comics. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, it totally is. I mean, you know, whatever. It's not your thing. I totally understand the criticism. I get it. It does kind of irritate me. And it's one of those things I try not to get too attached to it because it's not my comic. I didn't do it, you know. Some more Basil Wolverton. I have 2 of 2. This is Fantastic Fables from Dark Horse. So this finishes it off that 2 issue. And I think this is just reprints of his early work as well. But look at that cover. There's definitely been a couple of threads in this. And again, another one, because I loved the cover in the comic, wasn't actually that good. I have 1 issue of this, and I picked up a couple of more because for some reason I figured I should just read some more Kung Fu Warriors. So this is issue number 14. Brutal cover on that one. But, you know, we'll see. And then Kung Fu Warriors number 13. The issue that I have, I think it's issue 12. The pose that the 2 women on the front cover are doing is just ridiculous. I believe it's 80s. It's just a ridiculous pose that, you know, the beauty of comics, that you can have people doing things that you could never translate in real life. And I do enjoy that. 1989 is what it says on the inside. I'll give you a taste of the inside. Perfect page to go to. Boom. There you go. So that's what we're looking at. Weirdly proportioned human beings. Just ridiculous. It might actually be kind of fun. Anyway, so that's that. If all of a sudden things go blank here, my computer, oh, it says the battery saver's on. I still have about 16 minutes, so we'll try to make it through. Another Eclipse. This is issue 1 of Weird Romance. Get that off of there so I can see stuff. Pretty great cover there. Adventure Comics. I've got a couple of things from Adventure Comics. And now I have a couple more. This is something called The Bat. Any names on the front cover? No, nothing. The original Batman is a killer, or is he? A deadly bat creature terrorizes the city. I think Weird Romance is reprints, yes. The anatomy is worse than Liefeld's. Yeah, totally. So, I don't know. This message is held for review. I don't know why they would hide that for review. We can show that. Oh, maybe because he said S-H-I-T. They obviously haven't seen my videos with boobies. So the Bat. Let's have a quick look. Let's check it out together. I assume it's reprints though. A lot of these titles. Oh yeah, no, that's total reprints. Let's look at the beginning and see what it says. Pardon me. Cat Ironwood has her usual right up in the middle. Yeah, it doesn't really give a, or at the beginning rather, it doesn't give kind of a, sometimes with these Eclipse reprints, they'll do kind of a page where they talk about it. They talk about the artist or they'll talk about it. But there you go. There's a look at the interiors there. Blah, blah, blah. Seduced. Oh, here, there may be a write-up. There's a couple of pages here in the middle of the book, so that might give us a bit of the history. But yeah, it definitely looks like some reprints. Lair of the Silken Doom. Awesome. So that'll be fun. That'll be a fun one. One that I'm really excited about coming up next here, and I think I got the whole mini series from them. Trina Robbins, California Girls. I can't remember if they had all of the issues or if I just got a few of them, but I'd heard good things about this, and we all know my love for Trina Robbins, so that'll be fun. Another one that I think I didn't quite finish it off, or maybe I did. I think maybe there was only 2 issues that I needed. Star Reach, the original Star Reach. So I believe this finishes off that run for me, and that's a great cover. Look at the colors on the lettering up there, Star Reach. Really, really cool. Awesome. Cody Starbuck. Mr. Howie Chaykin. Yeah, no, Eclipse put out a whole bunch of great stuff, including this one as well. Giant-sized mini comics. So kind of a collection of the mini comics boom put into a larger format. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much exposure you have to Eclipse or even Pacific comics. They're worth checking out when you see them. Just for that reason, there's a whole bunch of shit that they've done. And then here's number 2 of giant size mini comics. And then here is number 1 of giant size mini comics. I also have a single issue of this series as well in the box somewhere. Another issue of Plop, this time number 21. And another one that I have a single issue of that just amazed me with its crazy cover and interior art from a company called Elite Comics. So I picked up the rest of this. I think it was only 4 issues. Something called Sea Dragon. And so that's issue number 4. And there's issue number 3 of Sea Dragon. And there is issue number 1 of Sea Dragon. Yeah, no, I quite the collection, Terrence. It's true. You have Sea Dragon. You're the fucking best. I'm so glad you showed up. I do have World's Toughest Milkman, as a matter of fact, but I'm not going to be showing that here. That's hilarious that you have these 2 books that I figured out of all the crazy shit. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. That was put in there. Folded? Ah, well. Yes, we can absolutely have a look at a giant-sized mini comics. I'll show you the interiors of Sea Dragon first. There's some interiors of Sea Dragon. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh well, my pristine 9.8 Sea Dragon run is destroyed. How am I ever going to flip them on eBay? There we go. Shove that back in there. we'll go for Giant Size Mini Comics #1. Message held. Show. We can show that. I don't know why it would do that. Yeah, I know that page. You're hilarious. That's hilarious. Documentary? There's a documentary. Ah, shit. You might want to plug in your PC. There's a documentary on Reed Fleming's World's Toughest Milkman. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Are you serious with me right now? That's amazing. I had no idea that that existed, but damn straight I'll be checking that out. I had no idea. So this is Giant Size Mini Comics, issue #1. So here's a look at the interiors. There you go. It's called I Thought I Told You to Shut Up. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable title. That's incredible. Was it on, did you see it on YouTube? I'm assuming you saw it on YouTube. I didn't see if you said that already. My apologies if I missed that comment. I'm looking back now and I don't see it. There you go. I thought I told you to shut up. Amazing. Yeah, so there you go. Again, chock full of just an anthology of some mini comics. I don't know who put the whole collection together as far as what got picked and what didn't. Just says wild, weird, and wacky on the front. Possibly there will be a bit of a write-up in there somewhere too. And there you go. There you are. I saw that on Comics Reporter a few years back. Haven't seen it though. You guys are the best. Thanks for tuning in. It's nice to have you guys here. Issue 24 of Scout. And issue #6 of Sea Dragon. Man, I actually can't wait to read this. I'm not even, no word of a lie. I think that's going to be fun. Issue #2 of California Girls. It's a pretty good documentary. It was very close to being made into a movie. Wow. No problem, Volstix. No problem at all. My pleasure, as a matter of fact. Issue #2. I do have the Swords of Texas. Yes, I do. I haven't read it yet, though. I think it went Scout, then it went into Swords of Texas. Then there was also New America as well, I think is the other one. Ah, shit.